So, Bree,
Mm-hmm.
welcome to Constant Struggle.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to you to the Constant Struggle. I feel I never get to welcome you, even
Aw.
though I guess we're welcoming guests.
I mean, in
Welcome
a way,
everybody.
Bree, we don't have to welcome each other. We're always in the
That's
constant
true. We
struggle.
are. That's why we
Am I?
made this podcast.
Am I right?
Am I right?
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how are things going with you? I understand.
Tired. Very
Tired.
tired.
Why are you
Yeah,
so tired? What's going on?
we got a dog.
Yay! Whoop whoop whoop. Or should I
Yeah.
say, woof
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 woof?
woof. Yeah, we got Ruby, and she's had a dodgy tummy the last couple nights, so we've let her like stay up. And yesterday she was wandering all around. You could just hear her little chains
Oh.
twinkling in the morning, and at some point she jumped on the bed to sleep with us. I'm
Oh.
like, no,
Why
that's
not?
not.
Okay, she might barf.
I'm such a fussy sleeper. I need like
Oh,
pristine. I'm what
the right
that princess
temperature.
with the pea thing.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, a pea. You got into bed and there was one in there. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, oh, this is uncomfortable. Yeah.
Ugh. So a new struggle.
Oh,
Yay.
new struggle pet ownership. That's right. You guys have never had a pet. Well, I mean, you
Mhm.
did when you were a kid, but I don't think
Yeah.
you. I think Cathryn didn't have pets growing up, right?
No, correct.
Hmm,
Yeah.
fun. What about work? How's writing going?
No. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not doing that no more.
Oh, Nick, you need to. That's the point of this podcast.
Huh? What? Oh, well, sorry.
Oh,
Don't know what to tell
jeez.
you.
No editing, no nothing.
No, no, no. It's good the way it is. Editing's for losers.
Never fix it.
Just write it perfectly the first time, like I do. I don't understand the problem.
Oh, coming up is an awesome episode with an interview featuring Cathryn Naiker, who's an awesome writer and
Discusses editing
comedian.
and how to do it.
That's right. So maybe Nick, you should take the advice of the episode we're about to hear.
What? Learn from my own podcast?
I know. Do it.
Seriously, it's all parenting stuff right now because Coop's baseball schedules exploded.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And then yeah, so a lot of baseball's going on.
I guess it's the summertime, so yeah, there's a lot of parenting because the kids are
Yeah.
in school and
Yeah,
stuff.
because the kids are off. But it just like going into summer, you just tell yourself like, oh, I'm gonna have so much time for writing, and it's almost like the worst time for
Because it's so
writing.
nice out. You don't want
Yeah,
to
it's
be
so nice
inside
out.
in your basement.
There's a complete lack of the structure.
On the other hand, my improv company just won Best Live Theater in the Reader's Choice Niagara This Week newspaper.
Noise.
Boop, 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 boop. Which I think is huge because
It's a good audience. People who read and live in Niagara.
right?
those are the people you're looking for, Ree.
Yeah. But other than that, we've started doing some live improv shows again, which is very exciting. I'm working
Yay.
on. I didn't tell you this, but I'm working on a new podcast. But it's not. Anyway. I know. How dare I? But it's not an interview one. It's like narrative improvised.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool,
so
cool,
that'll
cool.
be fun. I don't know if
It's
I'm
not based on Dungeons and Dragons, is it?
No, because I don't play. I've never played D&D.
Okay, cool.
Oh my goodness, Dave and I finished our sketch show that we've been working on forever. So that's
Yay.
exciting. So we're doing a read through coming up soon, and that's going to be fun. So that's what's going on my end. I also bought an external drive so that if ever I lose an episode again, which this is why we're a whole week late dropping the episode. Because
and we were early too.
I know we were so early.
Such sweet irony.
I know. But it won't. But
we were able to get more in depth in this one, I think, because of it.
So. Yeah, I think so too. You're really going to enjoy this episode with Cathryn Naiker. You get to find out a lot about her and her story. Starting out and navigating the world of writing comedy for television in Canada, which is really awesome. She's working on some shows for CBC right now, and I think you're really going to dig it. So, strap in and enjoy. Mm-hmm. We're so excited to be joined once again with a tremendous writer and stand-up comic and a producer, Cathryn Naiker. Thank you so much for being here. Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I feel like last time I didn't mention producer because I didn't know. But of course, this is one of the episodes. These are one of these episodes that every podcaster has where they accidentally deleted the episode and we're recording it again like if it's the first time. So welcome back, Cathryn.
Thanks for having me back. You know, sometimes sequels are better than the original.
That's what I hear.
You just got to shake it off, man. You just got to shake it off.
That's right.
I love it. Let's Godfather Part 2 this.
Exactly.
I forgot to mention that you're also a podcaster because right before we started recording, you mentioned that in the world of sports, it's kind of impossible to have to do a redo because the sports have already continued. There's already been more sports since when you recorded.
Right. Yeah. Well, don't worry that you didn't mention it before. I don't even remember that. But yeah, I do both an NBA and a WNBA podcast. So the NBA one's called Buckets and Tea, and the WNBA one is called The Pickup.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So WNBA season on now?
They're actually as we're recording this, they're on break for the Olympics. So they take an Olympic break and then resume again.
Yeah. But I guess a bunch of them must be at the Olympics right now.
Oh yeah. So the American team is all WNBA players. Team Canada has 3 WNBA players.
Oh.
We just lost to Spain, so it looks like we're not advancing to the quarterfinals. Or I think like if a certain team loses or something happens, like we might still make it, but it's looking kind of doubtful. But you know what? It's still progress for basketball in Canada to make it that far. I think they haven't medaled, I researched this year, since 1936.
Wow.
Oh,
so it's been a long time for women's basketball in Canada, but you know, slowly but surely making a comeback. Yeah.
And how are the men doing? How's Team Canada?
The men didn't even qualify for the Olympics this year. Isn't that crazy? I mean, well, there's enough basketball players on the men's side in the NBA that we can have an all NBA team. But there were a lot of injuries this year and just other things like that. And it just didn't break our way. I think, you know what, for this year, like it's been a weird Olympics. Like it's just,
for sure.
They're still calling it 2020, which I think is just really bad branding. Like nobody wants to go back in time a year.
It's disconcerting to watch or to just see all the signage say 2020 on it.
Yeah.
Are we still stuck in this?
Yeah, it's a bad decision. You know, there's no fans.
But they printed all the t-shirts already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's probably, you know what? I bet that's all it is. That they just
much.
printed the t-shirts already. They already made the merch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, it's a weird Olympics. I think the good news is that it's the next one's in 3 years and not 4. So you can have a lot of the same people more likely come back. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I guess this is the first time I still have cable, and I know few people out there still have cable, and I wonder like the experience of watching the Olympics must be very different this year compared to years in the past.
I have cable because I currently live with my mom.
Nice.
But that's changing. I found an apartment in Toronto, so I'll be moving back to Toronto as of October.
The Hamilton stay is over.
I know the Hamilton stay is going to come to an end. Yeah.
Well, that's going to change our whole discussion about your struggles, because the last recording we had was how you were still staying in your parents' place. And we're going to have to figure out a different struggle. But
no, there'll be struggles. I don't doubt that there won't be other struggles to discuss.
That's great. Where are you moving in Toronto? Not like you don't have to give us a specific address.
Yeah, we don't need the corners.
We don't have to
like
be creepy
the ball.
About it. Yeah.
Yeah, like near Runnymede subway station.
Oh, I love it. I love Runnymede.
Hyde Park area. Yeah, It's nice.
I love Bloor West Village. I lived there-ish for a while.
Yeah.
I worked at that old Humber movie theater, which is no longer open, but it was still pretty cool for it.
Right. I wonder if it's still there. That's the weird thing. It's like, I don't even know what still exists or doesn't exist right now.
Yeah. It is weird to go into Toronto and be like, oh, that like last year that was not a condo. And now
there'll be like 5 more huge condo buildings by the time we get back there.
Yeah, I think like one of the most depressing things about living in Toronto during the pandemic, because I moved to Hamilton in January 2021. So it was just all the shut down storefronts. And like you would walk down a street and it was just like store doesn't exist, like closed. And that was super depressing.
Yeah, that's like 70s New York vibes.
Yeah, it really was. Like I like sometimes like, you know, you go on daily walks and sometimes I'd just be like, oh, I want to go to like a different neighborhood. And it was just like store permanently closed, permanently closed.
That's it. Like Queen West used to be such a unique little place to go shopping because there were always so many cool and unique little stores. I remember even like in the 90s visiting Toronto and thinking it was such a cool, you know, part of the city. And now you're right, like a bunch of closed shops, a bunch of new condos, or the shops that are taking over the storefronts are just like, you know, big corporate. You know,
it's like a Chipotle now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Or this
like
is a new TELUS get your phone fixed kind of spot or whatever.
Yeah.
All that sort of uniqueness of it is disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope at least some of it comes back, you know, but yeah, I have to say that was like, because it's not like you're getting a ton of nature walks in the city, you know?
No. Yeah.
So it was like, that was pretty depressing.
Although Runnymede, you will be pretty close to High Park, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'll have some nature walks by this new place. That's cool.
High Park is huge too, right?
Yeah.
Was it designed by the same guy that did the Central Park in New York? Or am I completely?
No,
I think you're confusing it with the park in Niagara Falls, New York, Nick, because that one was designed by one of the guys who designed Central Park.
Really? That guy just designed parks?
Yeah, what a cool job.
I think he did some golf course stuff too. That's why I know.
That's where the real money's at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah.
Gotcha.
I love designing the parks, but the real money's in golf courses.
And how about, I mean, this is a bummer. I know we're talking, well, here are some struggles for real. We're already talking about is the struggle of Cathryn, of course, performs comedy. How many of these comedy clubs have closed since?
Oh God. Yeah.
Or like, or bars where they.
Is Comedy Bar okay?
Comedy Bar is
Comedy
good.
Bar's okay. Yeah.
Cool.
They closed down Bad Dog Theater, but I think they said that sorry, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but I believe that they want to reopen it at an accessible venue.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That's for sure.
Which is really nice.
Well, normally we only go direct quotes, but we'll let you paraphrase it. It's been tough times.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I just hope that that's actually an accurate statement because that's the last I heard. Is more what I mean, as opposed to paraphrase was probably the wrong word. My apologies.
I mean, I think you're technically right.
Like, that's the theme.
But even places like the Ossington, and I think there were a couple other
R.I.P. the Ossington. Yeah, that was a real fun place.
Yeah. So
I was supposed to record my comedy album there. Talk about struggles. I had my comedy album date, like the recording booked for April in 2020. And I was getting all geared up for it, and then it all shut down, and now it's been like a year and a half. And I really want to get this album recorded, and it looks like I'm, fingers crossed, like I'll hopefully be able to do this before the end of the year, but I haven't been on stage in a very long time. I did a few shows last year in the summer, in that brief window when things were open again. But I haven't been on stage in almost a full year. And even last year, it was hardly, like, maybe I got in like 10 shows. So really, it's been a year and a half since I was consistently performing. And I don't know what jokes are like completely relevant anymore. What's gonna still resonate with people?
That's what I was gonna ask. What, like, if the material is still relevant enough to bring up to?
I don't know.
Like, you had a solid 10 on "Don't You Hate Packed Elevators?" or "Wouldn't it be nice to get some alone time for once?"
Yeah. What a good
I
point.
mean, I don't know. I'm still hopeful that I'll have enough. Like, I don't want a COVID album because
God, no.
I want something that's evergreen. And I strongly believe, like, a lot of people have talked about, like, oh, like being creative during this time and writing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no one is going to be nostalgic for this era in time. Like, it's kind of like the Great Depression. Like, there's not a lot of Great Depression movies because nobody's trying to go back there, you know?
Right.
So everybody's like, oh no, the 60s and like things like that instead.
Yeah.
But nobody's trying to do like another Great Depression movie. That's
Yeah, it's
what
like-
COVID reminds me of.
There's like one. It's like Grapes of Wrath, and then that's it. That's our
it.
one. We don't need to go back. We're done.
Exactly. And so I want something that's a bit more evergreen. I don't want to, like, if I write a joke about now, it might be just framed in like, you know, being alone or something like that, but I'll try and frame it so it's not around like the pandemic specifically.
Yeah, I think Bo Burnham took care of it for us, the pandemic one. If you want to get
Right.
nostalgic, just watch that one and you're good.
Yes, I've heard. I haven't watched that one yet, but I've heard very good things about it.
I really liked it. It really bummed me out.
Oh no.
in the way it was supposed to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I'm not in the mood to watch anything that's going to bum me out.
Yeah,
No.
I'm just not.
I'm
But
back
you-
there. I feel like during the pandemic, it was like only comedy, only things that are uplifting. And now I think that things are opening up again. I'm like, okay, I can handle it. Bring on some
Okay,
sad
yeah, that's
shit.
good.
Yeah.
I'll probably feel better once I move. and
Yeah.
I'm back in my own space again.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad, you know, I think you're right about pandemic comedy. I think people are going to be going to clubs to hear, you know, like to stop thinking about it, right? They don't want to hear about COVID anymore. So if you're still talking about, you know, your experiences during COVID as a stand-up comic, although I'm curious to see, you know, I'm sure people
The
have
shared
had-
experience, though.
Yeah, exactly. The varying.
I think for
degrees of-
now, like if you're doing a live show, it would be fine. But I think in a recording or something that's going to be like long lasting, like
Yeah.
like a year from now, like something you want people to listen to a year from now, I think maybe not. But I think for now that's fine because we're all just coming out of it.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, good point. Well, why don't we rewind a little bit, Cathryn, and maybe you can let us know how it is you got into comedy in the first place. How did you discover this? You know,
Right.
crazy art form.
Where do I where do I
Or like,
start?
were you a
Well,
class
I
clown in high school?
Absolutely
or-
not. Absolutely not. I was a drama kid though. I really enjoyed acting. That was something I did, but I wasn't no, I was definitely not a class clown. I was very like sit at the back of the class, strategically looking down at my paper, pretending to write something so a teacher wouldn't call me out to try and answer any questions. Like I really wanted to disappear. But yeah, how I got into it was I really wanted to be a writer. Like I started taking screenwriting classes and I wanted to be a writer. And then when I kind of reached a point in my life where I was sort of writing just kind of as a hobby and decided I didn't want this to be a hobby anymore. I wanted this to be a real thing and really didn't know where to start. And like literally I Googled how to become a comedy writer because like that's how much I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
And I decided I wanted to do comedy because I kind of hate drama. Like it wasn't so much that I mean, there's some dramas I really love, but like a Mad Men, for example, is like one of my favorite all-time shows.
So
But when you think about like writing jobs and it's like, okay, like if I got a job on like a Law and Order, would I want to write on that show? And it's like the answer is like no. Like I really don't want to write on that show where I feel like I could write for any comedy. You know what I mean? It's just for me, it's like it's one thing for me to spend an hour watching a show about a murder, and it's another thing to spend not 40, realistically more like 60 hours a week thinking about that murder. Like that's not for me. I guess
No,
that's
I hear
for a
that.
lot of other people, but that is not for me. So then I was like, okay, well, how can I do comedy? And then I found out that a lot of comedy writers are in fact comedians. And then I thought, well, that's kind of crazy, but maybe I could take this class and like sketch and see if I can actually be funny or not. And so I took this sketch comedy class, which I was telling you was with Paul Bellini.
Oh, I love him.
Paul Bellini is from Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
And Paul Bellini was really great. And in this sketch writing class, we were also encouraged to also write monologues. And so we did a little class show, and it was all cheesy and cute. And you invite some of your friends and family, and it's all like way too supportive, probably.
Just like the real comedy world.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
you
goodness.
know, we do this little class show, and at the end, like Paul comes up to me and he was like, Cathryn, you should do stand up. And I was like, oh, haha, thanks, Paul. Like, I just thought it was a very generous compliment. But then he emailed me after the class was over, and he was like, Cathryn, I'm serious. You should do stand up.
Ugh.
And I was like, whoa, like this guy from Kids in the Hall is telling me that I should do stand-up comedy. So then I gave it a shot. And then like the first like 6 months, I didn't do a ton of shows. And then actually this part, I don't think I got into the first time we recorded. So this is kind of nice. Or kind of, I don't know, it's a bit of a dark story. But anyways, I had a very good friend, Harvinder, who passed away from cancer. And so I took some time away from comedy, and I really didn't know if I was going to go back to it or not. But then this girl who used to run an open mic named Karen Mitten.
Oh my goodness, I remember her.
Right?
Yeah.
She used to run this open mic at Not My Dog. Is that where it was? Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you want to do a set? And just she just hit me at the right time, in the right moment in like my grieving process and all of that. And I decided I was ready to come back, scrapped whatever the hell I did the first like few shows of my life. They were all terrible. Rewrote a whole new set and just started hitting open mics really hard and never looked back.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I completely accidentally fell into this whole life.
How
Really
may I
wild.
ask, how old were you? Not that that's like super.
Oh no, it is kind of important. I was like 28, 29.
Okay, great. So you're starting a
I
little
started
bit later
late.
than most of the, well, a lot of the.
Yeah, I
young
had a whole
men
career doing like production coordinating, production management stuff in film and TV.
Oh, that's cool. That's right. Well, I mean, I knew you when
That's
you
how
were
I knew you from
working
CBC.
at CBC. That's right.
What was your job at CBC? Like exactly.
I had a couple different jobs. I was mostly doing admin work. But I was a production assistant on Stephen and Chris for one season.
Oh, that's right. And wait, what was your, like, what departments were you doing admin work for?
At first I was in supply management. That was my foot in the door.
Okay.
And which is just ordering shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I barely know what supply management is. Okay.
It's like any, cameras and shit, or, office, anything from cameras and office supplies to whatever the CBC needed. They would go through supply management to get the best deals and whatnot.
More Mansbridges.
More. Yeah. That's where we keep our Mansbridge clones. Yeah, and then there were a bunch of cuts, so that position got cut, and because it was a union, they had to put me in a different position. So I applied for the Stephen and Chris production job, which was awesome. I really enjoyed that, but then Chris passed away.
Right.
And then
that was really awful.
Yeah, it was brutal. So
yeah.
obviously they didn't renew that show, and then they put me in communications. So the rest of the time I was an executive assistant in the communications department.
I feel like I remember you most in communications.
Oh shit, I forgot. I also did the Pan Am game, so I was in sports as well for a while.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too. Yeah, during Pan Am. Oh man, those were long. Anyway. This isn't about me, Cathryn. This is
no,
about
but
you.
I'm curious. Like, I also did a few jobs there. My first job was in a department they call scheduling. Ooh. But what it was booking the in-studio crews for various shows. So there was like Hockey Night in Canada, or like Stephen and Chris, or like all the stuff they did in-house, including news. But news was kind of a separate thing. And I did a bunch of random stuff there for a while. That was my sort of foot in the door. Although I was never permanent. I was never a permanent employee. So when I was let go, I was let go. Boo. But then people would remember me and kind of bring me back, which was nice. Yeah. And then I spent some time as an executive assistant number 2 to Heather Conway,
Yeah,
who's the
I
former
remember-
VP.
That's when I remember.
Yes, and you were
most,
probably in
yeah.
communications at that time.
Probably, because otherwise I don't think I would have known or cared
Yeah,
who
I think
Heather
that's-
was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we would have crossed paths. And then I also spent some time just doing like random like time card stuff,
Yeah.
time card implementing for people part-time for like, I want to say I ended up doing that for like 2 years.
Jeez.
But that was like, honestly, I kind of blew it with that gig because that was a sweet gig. Because now like I get writing jobs, but they're not permanent. And so it's like I need to go away for a while, but then I kind of need to come back and I need like a job again.
Yeah.
God, I wish I had that. That was such an easy job. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just the easiest job. I mean, it's important because it's like if you fuck up, that's really bad, that's someone's pay. So it's like
right.
there's a level of responsibility there that's important, but it's so easy.
Yeah, you're just putting in sort of numbers into a system, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because it was like, oh God, this is some boring admin stuff. But you know what? I don't get to talk about admin shit with people.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know?
part of the process.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
it's not just like, oh, this person worked so many hours today. No, it's how many hours did they spend on each show, each
Whoa.
project, because each
Ugh.
thing is its own budget.
Oh, of course.
And so their time versus every show had to be accounted for. Or if it
Yes.
was like non-billable or billable, it's like, this is corporate shit.
Yeah.
This is what makes me relatable to the people, Bree.
Serious, man, if all geez, I never considered talking about, like which account do I put this travel, which account in this
Yeah.
show do I associate this travel hours to?
People don't think this stuff is important, but this is what keeps the world going round, damn it.
True.
Is us allocating hours to shit.
to different what are they called? They're called
Cost centers?
Cost centers.
Oh.
There we go.
There you go.
See,
Oh,
Nick, you got
man.
cost centers.
There you
We
go.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows about
Awesome.
cost centers.
I think we might have called them dockets.
Oh, we used cost centers. So
That
even
sounds
within
old
the same
school.
organization, we're using
Yeah,
different
probably.
terminology.
Or maybe I'm just mixing jobs up at
I like
this
the word
point.
docket.
But anyway, yeah.
But you're saying now, so you're writing now. So I love the idea that
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I get to go in and write and do my dream job, but shit, man, it's it's only temporary.
Yeah. And
Which
then,
is-
I
that's-
need another job.
Yeah, but at least you get to do the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I get to the point where I just have enough writing work that I don't need any other kind of work. And I slowly feel like I am inching towards that place, but I don't feel 100% there, but I'm getting much closer. Like also too, like once I finally get this comedy album recorded and all of that, like that revenue is going to help too. So
For sure.
I'll get there at some point. It's more like, how am I going to get through the next like year or two? Not that, oh, I need some other side job forever. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of writing projects? I know we talked about it a little bit, but what kind of writing projects have you been working on?
So most recently I got to write on a new show that's going to be on CBC called Son of a Critch,
I just
starring Mark Critch.
just saw an ad for it, and I was like, that's a show Cathryn wrote on.
Yeah, God, Canadians and their show titles, eh? Like, oh my God. But
I get it.
that's the problem with every pitch I've ever had, is that there isn't a twist on a swear word. Like that's
You need a
what
naughty
I-
pun.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I need to do next time I pitch something. No, but it was actually a really positive experience, and everyone I worked with was really cool, and I really do hope that the show is successful. So that'll come out, I think it's in January of 2022 that show is gonna debut on air. So yeah, it's cool. It's a big deal for me. I know this is a struggle pod, but it's a big deal for me because I got to write an episode. This is my first ever written by Cathryn episode of television.
Well,
So,
that's just it. We want to talk
Yeah.
about the successes because then we can, then the fact of the matter is that the struggle was worth it, right? The struggles have been worth it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
ultimately you get to write your own episode. And I think one thing that you were mentioning last time is this whole writing process took place during COVID, right?
yeah. We did the whole thing on Zoom.
Right? Isn't that
Yeah.
crazy?
funnest place there is.
Isn't it? Like, yeah.
You know, it's weird because like I've heard of a lot of writing rooms on Zoom where people are just like, you know, on the Zoom all day, like a lot of workplaces. But I don't know why exactly our showrunner decided to do this. And also too, like we were in different locations. So like a few of us were in the Toronto area or at least this time zone, Eastern time. And then 3 people were in LA. And then another 2 people were in Newfoundland.
Oh man.
So we were working with 3 different time zones.
Cool.
And so we would start at 10 Eastern, but that's like 7 Pacific, right? So they were starting the day at 7 a.m. And
10:30 in Newfoundland.
Right,
Oh, wait,
exactly. 10:30 in Newfoundland. And
11,
or is it 11?
Right?
I think it's
they're
11.
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was 11 their time. And we would only be on Zoom for like 2 hours. And we would discuss stuff, and then it would be like, okay, and break. And then the writer was would go off and do their thing.
Maybe
so it was very different, very unorthodox, but I personally loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe you nailed it. Like that's the reason why you were only on for 2 hours is because you had to deal with all these different time zones. But also, so when you were assigned an episode, did you just sort of take it away on your own and work on it? Is that how it worked?
So basically this was a very unique situation because this was based on a book called Son of a Critch, which is based on Mark Critch's life. So it's based on a book, but it's also based on his life. Okay. So he already had all of these stories, and he wrote these like massively long outlines, like 8-10 pages long outlines, and would send them to us to read the night before. So we already had like a base to start from. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, okay, so Cathryn, this is going to be your episode. That's cool. And I would just be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I don't know, you know? And then you just kind of take it away. So there was like the source material, which was really helpful.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that would obviously be it's not like you have to invent anything, right? You're just
yeah, like I think in future seasons it'll be really different because then it's like, okay, well now we're coming up with stories from scratch because we've used up all the real life ones. So
well, that's interesting. What does that look like?
I don't know. We'll see.
Mark Critch like himself, or is he a character of himself?
He's playing his dad in the show.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Yeah, which is very cool. Yeah, he's playing his dad, and he's actually like, I'm not just saying this. He's honestly like a very gifted storyteller. I would say, like, he's very colorful in the way he tells his stories, and like something is so simple as like. I guess I'm not okay. This is a historical fact, so I'm not giving this away. Okay. There was a time in the 80s when Newfoundland first got cucumbers. They didn't have cucumbers before the 80s. And he would talk about this like this was a really big day. And he even sent us a PDF of a cucumber recipe book. That was going around town. It was like by the government or something, like just going around town trying to introduce people to cucumbers.
Did they start growing cucumbers in Newfoundland?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it was. There was like a greenhouse and they started growing them.
So they're like, you have to eat these because we brought them. Because
we've got so many of them now.
Listen, we went all in on the cucumbers. We got to get through this.
Well, not a lot of stuff grows in Newfoundland. It's
something so simple, and he just tells it in such a way that's so funny.
Yes,
I just feel bad for those people that planted zucchinis by accident.
Yeah. They are.
Or people who didn't know what to do and they tried to cook or saute them, you know?
Oh, just soggy cucumber.
Soggy cucumbers, yeah.
But they are, there's some really great raconteurs in the East Coast for sure. There's a way about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a way about
they're a whole culture. They're a whole moment onto themselves for sure. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, well, that's cool. Do you have experience writing on other projects, or is this your this is the first big deal Cathryn TV show? Yay.
I have written on stuff before. I guess I got my first break writing for the Beaverton, and I got that literally just by doing stand-up. And I was at real grimy open mic. The Central, RIP the Central. That's another great venue. Gone. It was by the whole Mervish area.
Right.
It was like a bring your new jokes kind of show, like test out your new material kind of stuff. And it was just comics performing to each other, like workshopping stuff. And little did I know that in the next room over, because the Central was a bar that was kind of divided into different rooms, and the next room over was where the Beaverton would meet.
That's
to
right.
discuss articles. Like they would meet in this random bar. And so one of the editors, Jacob, have to give him a shout out, was watching my show and then reached out to me because he really liked my material.
Amazing.
And so I ended up writing for the website for a bit, and then eventually they brought me onto the TV show. So that was really cool. And then from there, I got to be like a script coordinator, which is like a entry-level writer's room position. You're taking notes for people, things like that, for the Mr. D show. So that was really cool. It was really fun doing that. And then I got to write on 22 Minutes, which was awesome.
Right,
Then Mark, I was like, even for this show, I was like, I don't even know if Mark Critch like remembers me. I didn't end up getting the gig through him, but it's just one of those like everybody kind of knows each other things. And then after that, like I just had a bunch of random small gigs. Like I wrote for a video game, which was really cool. And
that is cool.
Did some like punch up work on other random shows. And just I don't know, it's weird reciting my resume,
your resume
like but it's just it's just one leads to the other in this very weird way.
Oh man, I took an improv class with the guy who founded the Beaverton newspaper. Remember Laurent?
Oh wow, yeah. I never got to meet him.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy how the connections that you make in the comedy world, the Toronto comedy world.
Was it ever like a physical paper?
Mm-hmm.
How old is the Beaverton then?
Not that old.
Okay, cool.
Maybe 10 years. You think the paper? 8, 10?
I think it might be 10 years old now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it older than The Onion?
No
way.
Okay, all right.
No, because it would have been inspired.
But The Onion is like the Onion's probably 20 years old now.
Okay.
The Onion's been around.
Wow.
And actually, I'm so curious now. How long has The Onion been around?
We're gonna look this up live via podcast.
I turned off my phone because it was beeping, so I can't Google for you guys.
Every once in a while, my watch yells at me.
Sorry, you might hear my typing because I just did it on my laptop. 88.
Oh,
way older than I
it's
thought.
Older than that, yeah. Cool.
We learned a thing.
We learned a thing today. So, which do you prefer, writing or doing stand-up? Or performing stand-up, I should say, because obviously you have to write your jokes as well.
I prefer writing as a means to make a living. Let's put it that way, because I kind of, because of the later start in life doing this, like I think if I had started when I was like in my teen years, like some people I know who are phenomenal now, or like, even at like the age of 20 or 21, which I feel is kind of the average age for stand-up comedians to get started. I think if I started at that age, I would have had it in me to tour more and to like work up that reputation with other clubs, to build your way up to being a headliner, and that kind of thing. But starting later, I was like, I don't know if I have it in me.
And also
I that because it's like
those bills.
Like there's just something about being in your mid 30s being like, I'm gonna take Greyhound buses to all these random cities and I'm gonna crash on people's couches that I don't know, but they're a friend of a friend and also a comic. And I kind of like that comedians do that for each other, but it's just like my back hurts just thinking about it. Like I don't have that in me at this age. So and fortunately for me, I do genuinely love writing, and writing is the thing that brought me into all of this in the first place. So I in no way do I feel like I'm settling or anything like that, but I just think the quality of life as a writer is just so much better. That it just makes so much sense on every level for me at this stage in my life to focus on writing. I love stand up. I'll always do it, but stand up for me is whatever I can get out of it is amazing. I definitely want to make money from it, but that's the passion thing, if that makes sense. It's not just a passion project, but that's the thing I do for fun.
Yeah. Interesting. Can we, I'd love to know a little bit more about your writing process. Like, what does that look like to you when you're working on, we have talked about this and I don't think we mentioned it last time, but I'm curious about it. What does it look like when you've got, I don't know, something that you need to write, something that you're working on?
Nothing fuels me more than a deadline. I'll tell you that. Because it's just so easy to get distracted or to just not be able to feel focused. I'll say this, like the biggest transition for me between being a hobby writer and being a professional writer wasn't the money. It was writing when I wasn't in the mood to write. That to me is the biggest difference.
I love that because I see a lot of that. I see that as being the advice given. What were you writing when you didn't feel like writing? You know what I mean? What were the things? Was it scripts?
The same shit, but worse.
Okay.
Just the same thing, but it was garbage before it was good.
Okay, cool. Right.
Like stand-up material, like sketches, scripts.
I've written some sketches, but it hasn't been my forte. Although I've gotten paid to write sketches, which is amazing. But no, it was writing screenplays, mainly TV pilots. Although I have attempted a feature and I want to attempt a feature again, but it's just a big undertaking and it's hard to prioritize over the TV writing.
Yeah, but you're getting paid to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's really in my process. I don't have a process. I wish I had a process. Like I envy morning people who have routines. Like holy wow. Like I sleep in as long as possible. I wish I could.
If your process starts in the afternoon, that's fine.
I want go to sleep at 3 a.m. and wake up at 11 normalized in the world. Like that would be that is my natural clock. That is, some people are like, no, I'm a morning person. No, I'm a night person. I am a afternoon person. Yeah. Okay. Like I get my best thinking done between like 3 and 7 p.m.
I am there with you 100%.
Yeah. That is so it's for me, it's just about having deadlines. So before I was getting paid to write, what I would do is, okay, here's a process thing. Ooh. I would look up screenwriting competitions that I wanted to apply for. And so I used to have like a Google alert like every month to remind me to Google deadlines if they weren't posted yet. And then once those deadlines got posted, I would mark them in my calendar and then I would do my best to make those deadlines. So I definitely didn't make every deadline, but I probably made maybe half of the deadlines I would put in my calendar in a year.
That's amazing.
Which is like not bad. Like maybe I would apply to like 4 contests instead of 8. Like that's not terrible. So that's how I would do it. And that's how I would keep myself motivated.
And you're building the experience of writing when you don't want to write.
Yes, exactly.
Because you're working towards a goal.
Exactly. So like that was really important. Instead of just like writing for fun and then like maybe showing it to a friend, it's like you're going to be doing that for years. You're going to wake up one day and be like, oh God, I started this like 5 years ago.
Yeah, this is my pilot. This is what we're talking about. My pilot right now. I'm still working on it because I gave myself a deadline and then I didn't like the ending. So now I have to rewrite an ending, but I haven't had a deadline imposed. Anyway, that's okay.
Well, you just need a new one then.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, I'm happy if you want notes, let me know.
Oh my God, amazing. I will. That's awesome. So how many pilots do you have written after having submitted like to all of these competitions. I love this. I'm interested because I feel like not a lot of people talk about the writing process because it's such a solo endeavor.
Well, okay, this is a weird one to answer because I rewrote one 3 times, and when I say rewrote, I mean every single page was different.
What? Yes, I
right.
love
So
that.
there's drafts, right? There's like first draft, second draft, third draft, and then there's I am throwing this out. I'm keeping the characters and the general premise, and I am completely rewriting this all over again. And my first ever pilot, I ended up doing that twice.
I love that.
This, and then my current pilot, the one that like I'm proud of and has actually gotten me work, I have also done that process twice. So I don't know how many drafts of anything I've written at this point. I've completely lost count, honestly. But I have rewritten a concept purely from scratch at least 6 times.
That's amazing.
And now I'm working on a new pilot, so it'll be 7.
It's amazing to hear that because I feel like there must be writers listening and there must be writers out there who are like struggling to even do draft number 1 and to know like in order to achieve the work that you want to do, yeah, you're going to have to do this over and over again. And that's just part of it, right? That's just part of the process. You're not just going to have a script that you have and it's perfect. You know, like you're going to go back and change it and fix it and tweak it and everything it. I think
and I think like I'm sure Brie, like you'll relate to this. It's just like you kind of have to, especially in comedy, you have to flip your perspective on failure, right? Because like in comedy, it's like you're gonna bomb, you're gonna have bad nights, and you really have to look at those bad nights as opportunities to be better, or you're just not gonna survive in the genre. Like you're just not, because it's like every time like I do a show and it doesn't go well, you know, I got myself to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to work on that joke, or I'm going to drop that joke from my set because it didn't work. But it's not like this personal toll that I'm taking. Like that was actually a hard lesson for me to learn. Like I say that now, like it's so easy. That definitely took me some time, but it's the same with writing. It's like, you know, every draft I write, I become a better writer. So even if it's not working or it's not at its best, it's like I'm becoming a better writer. And now it takes fewer drafts for me to have something that's really good.
That's a really great mindset, I think. And it's something I tell people in improv a lot who, you know, get in their heads very easily. And it's like part of this process is to not be great at it. Right? Nobody just starts off a pro. Sucking is part of it. Eating shit is part of it. If you can't, if you have to get used to getting something out of it, even when you're failing, quote unquote, because it's still not a failure because you've learned something from it, right? In stand up, oh, you've learned maybe I need to work on this joke more. In improv, you've learned maybe I denied my offers too much. You know, maybe I didn't say yes enough. You know, in writing, I imagine it's similar. It's I've got to just keep writing.
What is it that sets up that huge wall of like the expectation that the first time you write something, it's got to be good? Like, what is that like? Is that like an innate human thing of not wanting to be crap at things, or is it like entitlement? We live in our society and all we see are the successes of other people. We never see all the failure and the work that went into things that we enjoy watching.
Personally, I think it's ego. I think we think because if it's not perfect, a lot of people just throw it out or not look at it again, because it's harder to look at yourself and admit that I did something that wasn't great and I've got to keep working on it. It's hard for your ego to accept that you're not good at a thing. It's hard for your ego to accept that you ate shit. But if you have to trick your ego into thinking, you know, this is, or into knowing that it's part of the process, and it'll start sort of defending you so much. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Cathryn, what do you think?
I agree with that. And I'll also add, like, as performers, and I'm sure even to an extent writers as well, it's like there is this need for validation there.
Yeah.
And I think that is a part of ambition and drive in a way that a lot of people don't want to admit. And I
Yeah.
think, like, for me personally, like, I had to eventually, and I can honestly say I was only really successful in doing this maybe a year ago, let go of needing validation and really look at my career from the lens of how am I going to live my best life. And it's not about what other people think or what other people are doing or anything like that. And that takes that's also ego in a way too, right? Like needing validation and blah blah blah, but I'm sure it comes from some other broken place I'm probably not going to get into here. But I think both those things are true. People generally, they don't want to be bad at something, but I think at first it's like, oh, what's driving us to want to be better and better? And it's like, because we need people to tell us we're good.
Or it's like we're waiting for permission to do these things. Yeah, nobody ever, when you have an office job, it's not like you're asking permission to, check your email. I don't know, I feel apply the appropriate cost centers, but I think there's something creative work that it's almost like we're like, I need permission to be able to. I know I've seen this in like women in stand up. I've taught a class to women in stand up, and it's just kind of like they just needed permission to know that what they were going to say was valid. I feel like in stand-up, especially when we're starting off, I feel like there are a lot of men who have a lot of opinions, and they're like, I was just going to go up and talk because because everybody will listen because I'm a young white man or whatever the case may be. But some women, I think, hold back because like, what if I don't think it's fun? What if people don't think it's funny? What if people don't think it's good? And it's kind of like, well, yeah, but what if it's great? And the only way you can find out is by actually doing it. So go, right? I don't know. Anyway.
That's very empowering. Very true. Yeah.
We got into it.
Yeah. When we're talking about your performing stand-up and stuff, that's like one advantage over writing is you get the audience reaction or validation, if you want to call it, immediately. Whereas like if you're writing a thing, unless you're getting that like submitted to a contest or you're already getting paid for it, you're never going to get any feedback, and you're just like shouting into the void.
Hoping
it's
funny.
True. I mean, it's true. When I was doing both earlier on, that was actually really hard because I got used to having instant validation, instant gratification, and doing it for the long haul felt like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it was definitely more challenging at one point because of those reasons. But I don't know. I think eventually, just because I kept with it and then I guess started to get work, I started to find some balance, because then people in the stand-up world would be like, oh, you wrote for this, or oh, you wrote for that. And then the best is when people question whether or not you deserve it, because that's when you're doing well.
Wow.
Right? That's when you're doing well, is when people wonder if you deserved it or not.
I wonder if that's like a universal thing, or because I noticed a lot of that in Toronto. I wonder if it's everywhere.
Oh, it probably is.
It must be.
I'm sure it
Human
is, but
nature.
I think like honestly,
sure.
it makes me grateful that I started later, because I think if I was like in my early 20s, I wouldn't be able to handle those emotions as well, and I would have cared way too much.
That's good,
right? About what other people thought. People always like to say, I don't care what other people think of me, but like, yeah, you do.
Everybody does.
As soon as you say that, it's a huge indicator that it's the same with the teacher who's like, I don't want you guys to spoon feed all my stuff back. Whenever I would get that in university, it was like,
yes, you
spoon
do.
feed all this back immediately.
Yeah. The only people who don't are like psychopaths, right? Or do they?
Basically.
Maybe they do. Anyway. Maybe psychopaths care too much.
They care, but in a bad way.
In a different
way. I'm going to use this.
Yeah, to my advantage.
True.
Now, speaking of psychopaths, we all go through struggles in our life. Is there anything now you're moving back to Toronto? Is there anything, I don't know, what are your current struggles? What's happening right now for Cathryn that's like, I gotta get over this hump or whatever? I know when we
there's a couple things, and I think these are things that'll probably always be struggles to some degree in my life, but I'm a little worried about money. Because I'm, before I had roommates and I lived with my mom. That was like one thing. I mean, talk about sacrifices. Like living with roommates well into my 30s was not something I ever wanted to do. So that was a whole thing. And then, but now I'm going to live on my own.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
So
I got a nice little bachelor apartment, but I am a little worried about like paying for it. But then also like there's furniture I gotta buy. I need a new laptop. It's like suddenly I'm like looking at like a decent number of expenses. But one thing I have learned and have to constantly remind myself of is to just like have faith and like believe it's all gonna work out. And I just kind of believe it's all gonna work out. It always has. I survived a pandemic and I never ran out of money. Like it's gonna work out. Something will happen, and just keep putting that energy out there instead of like freaking out all the time. So there's that. And then my other struggle right now is my weight. Definitely the heaviest I've been in my life. The pandemic didn't help with that.
Cheers.
I
Cheers
definitely am, it's not so much my size, but I'm starting to feel like physically I can't do things.
Right.
And that's really concerning because I'm like 36 turning 37 and it's like I am too young to feel like I can't physically do things. And so, but like physical activity gives me a lot of anxiety because I'm always like stressed out about what I look like and am I doing it okay and how people are judging me when I'm being physical. Like that's a weird thing to admit.
No,
but it's true. I just, oh God.
I like just started running and found a path here in Niagara where I know like nobody is for that reason. It's secluded that it's not. I mean,
is it a murder path?
I bring my cell phone.
Look at this Big Brother immediately like, oh no,
you shouldn't do
that. No one
ever
goes there. There's no security cameras at all.
It's like a recreational trail. There's not people running. There are people on bikes, but they go by so fast that I feel like they don't. But I suppose that's
amazing. I'm so happy that you're doing that. That's great.
Thank you. I wrote this whole post about like how the Nike Run Club app is the best, even though like I know Nike, has some,
cares about us all.
Every corporation does.
Exactly. Yeah,
you can't escape it.
It's true. But it just really again helped change my mindset because I remember when you're a kid in high school and you're running, it's like run this fast and go and that's it. And I was in cadets as well, and it was like run and that's it. There was no like but I was bad at running and I have asthma, so it was like, well, this is the worst. I hate this. I loved sports. I loved group sports, but I hated running. Like running sucked because it was like it was never go at your own pace. It was always go at this pace or faster or try to do it as fast as you can. So there was always a ton of anxiety with it because I was like, well, the more stressed out you get in general, for me, my lungs close up and and then I can't do the thing anymore because it's like, well, fuck it. Not only do I have asthma, but I'm pretty sure this anxiety is making it worse for the asthma and for me. So anyway, I started listening to this not podcast, but started doing the Nike Run Club, and it's just like, do it at your own pace. I'm here. There's like a voice in your head that's like, keep it up. You're doing great. Like all this kind of support that anyway, it works for me. It's good for me because there's somebody in my ear saying, keep doing it. You're doing great. Doesn't matter how fast you're going. Doesn't matter how far you're going. The fact of the matter is you're doing it, and that's great. And the more he says it, the more I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. So that's why running has been okay lately. But I totally get it. If you're not comfortable in the way that you look or the way that you feel, then if just going to the gym and is gonna feel not comfortable, and that feeling is going to perpetuate your desire to never return to the gym, right? Or whatever, or never return to the thing.
Right.
I'd like to recommend YouTube yoga, because
Yoga
it's
with
some
age.
exercise. You do it at your house, and it can, there's health benefits to it, and it'll get you like able to do other exercises afterwards. Because I was finding, like, when I would go play golf and stuff, my hamstrings would be all messed up. My lower back was dead. So I started doing this YouTube thingy, and it's like 20 minutes. I didn't think it was doing much, but like, I'm not getting that pain anymore. And at least I'm doing some exercise at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
That's
no one
awesome.
looks at you. Like, you're just doing it in your basement or your living room. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about YouTube yoga.
Yoga with Adrian.
Yeah, she's the best.
That's right. She's the one that she's famous now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, I think having my own space will help, because I won't feel like somebody's gonna pop around the corner,
You're doing yoga wrong.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why. That's something I gotta learn to let go, but I haven't yet. So.
You call that a downward dog? Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. During the pandemic, we had a group of people who were doing online workouts, and I felt like it was so good, because I was just in my room here. She's like, all you need are these elastic bands and that kind of shit. And I'm not saying I don't know.
And a $3,000 Peloton bike.
Oh my God, Peloton is.
I don't know how much it is. Sorry.
It's more than that, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I haven't looked into it, but
So
I have to say the commercials are effective.
No kidding. I like this one that you have a screen against the wall. Have you seen that? I don't remember what that guy's called.
Yeah, that's
that
just
intense.
It's like other workout stuff too, right?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah, it's not just a bike or because Peloton does. Anyway, I don't think it helps that. What do I want to say? Yeah, weight's such a fucking weird thing too, because for so many reasons, right? Because the society we live in is so horrible to people who have more mass than others. So it's so much of it is it can really fuck with your head. But I found
I had to really change what I follow on Instagram and stuff.
Oh,
just so my algorithm won't send me a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's because I have friends who really went on deep dives into plastic surgery stuff on Instagram and stuff, and they started to feel really bad about themselves, and I'm like, but you're comparing yourself to something that's not real. This is really bad. But it's very easy to get affected by those kinds of images. I stopped using filters. I'll adjust the lighting of a photo, but I'm not putting any of those heavy filters on me anymore, because I felt like I couldn't take a nice photo of myself without them. And I was like, that's not good. That's not good. I'm not doing this. I just immediately had this instinct of if I stick with this will be bad for me. Because even if I had on makeup, I would be oh, the filter is it's so much better, and I was just no, I can't do this. And so I stopped using all the Insta filters.
I think that's great. You think about all the little kids out there who, we thought body issue images were bad when I was a teenager. Now, you've got to have all these crazy filters. You've got to you can't eat wheat, for God's sake. I don't know. I guess
there is a lot of body positivity out there.
Yeah,
probably more than ever. But there's also to me, even that is its own form of beauty standard.
Yeah.
It's you're the perfect hourglass. It's even that is its own idealized type.
Yeah.
Somehow no cellulite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's also kind of unrealistic in its own way.
Yeah, it's almost I feel like Lizzo is the spokesperson for the body positivity movement, but she also has how much great fucking hair and the eyes and the makeup that she has on her face and the crazy amounts of money she spends on nails
always next to just the nicest pool you've ever seen.
Exactly. Yeah. you're like, well, I mean, yeah, but so
Yeah.
that's I think gonna be I love that because it's such a real issue that so many people have, and that people don't end up talking about, and that because
Proper real struggle
because
that
it can
most people are going through.
absolutely, especially during this
mhm.
pandemic.
Mhm.
Especially, that's your
But
body.
I'm sure it's probably bigger on the men's side too, because I'm sure they're bombarded with really good looking bodies and all kinds of stuff. I'm not sure.
We are nowhere near as. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as you guys. Like for men, attractiveness is just like, can you show how wealthy you are, how successful you are?
Oh.
That's the thing. So it's all
Also,
about like daddies right now. Is
It's
the
like,
thing.
have you showered? that's all you need for
Yeah.
to be a
Did you
success.
wake up today and put on new clothes, or just the ones that were crumpled next to your bed?
Oh,
I wonder if it create. Well, I wonder do all these images create unrealistic expectations for men to have for women?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I just know for dudes, like whenever the first time I came to I was like, oh, that's a 6-pack. Okay, how do you get that? And then when you find out what it takes, you're like, oh no, that's not going to happen, and you move on with your life.
I think that's it, right? It's about finding the balance so that you are comfortable in your body. So if it's like, because some people, it's like you don't weight is a number, right? But if you're working out and you're feeling good from the physical work that you're doing, and you're not sort of judging yourself too harshly on that particular number, you're kind of like, well, my goal, like just like you were saying about writing goals, right? If my goal is to get this much physical activity in, my goal is to, and that will help me feel better. Because we all know that moving helps the serotonin kick out.
So you're moving to Toronto, so perfect.
Yeah, literally walking there.
I meant moving your body, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think people get a little too obsessed when it comes to numbers and then start talking about fucking counting calories and that kind of bullshit, and then it takes over their lives. But I don't know, Fuck, what's the answer? I don't have the answer. That's one.
I mean, I think like one thing I'll say is that I think my goals are probably getting healthier, if that makes sense. So it's like although I would like to fit into some clothes a bit better than I do now, but I think really it's more like I just want to remain physically average. Like, I mean, I don't even need to be physically fit. I just want to be physically average.
Like if you want to run to get a streetcar, you want to be able to do that without feeling like you're gonna have a heart attack.
Yes.
Or blow your hamstring or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That kind of thing. I just want some of my physical, not that I was ever physically fit, but just some of my physical fitness restored. So yeah.
I remember a couple years ago when I was still at CBC, I bent over to pick up my cat and threw my back out. I was this is stupid. Like, well, I was like, I was only a couple years ago. I was probably 36, maybe 35.
I have a laundry basket pickup that haunts me from like about 7 years ago. Like that feeling of like, oh shit, I'm never going to be able to stand up again.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dan needed to pick me
scary.
up and physically bring me to the bathroom because I could not.
Hate it.
So
yeah, do yoga, everybody.
Do
Stretch those hips out.
Yeah. And it was like, that was like, these are wake up calls. Like, oh fuck, I should be exercising my back and my core more so that this doesn't happen again. I need to, what muscles I have, I can't just depend on sitting on my desk to maintain constantly. Right.
And also like, just doing a little bit of improvement is awesome. Like you don't have to like run a marathon tomorrow.
No.
Just do a little bit
or
more.
Ever.
Yeah. Never run a marathon. If we've learned one thing today,
you don't need to run a marathon.
Yeah. Why run the marathon? You can donate to other runners.
There
right?
you go. I'll stand on the sideline and throw water at them. That part's fun.
So they could drink? No.
No, just cool them down.
Stop running marathons.
I find it. So you're a big basketball fan. Did you ever
Yeah.
play? Did you play when you were in school or anything?
Hardly.
Okay.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I did enjoy playing basketball when I was a kid, but I didn't pursue it because I just started doing like drama stuff instead.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know why. I think just like being at the right age and like the Raptors becoming a thing and Space Jam becoming a thing. And
Yeah.
you
Did
know,
you watch the new one?
I have not seen the
Okay,
new one yet,
okay.
but I definitely want to.
Nice.
I think people are like, is it a good movie? Is it a bad movie? I'm like, it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And if kids had fun, then it's a good movie. Like, stop this. It's a children's movie. Stop wanting it to appeal to your adult senses. It's basketball players playing with the Looney Tunes. Like, stop this. I think it's so crazy.
Will it get an Oscar though?
Like, just how good people want this to be is just so unrealistic. But anyway, yeah, I think basketball just caught me at the right time, at the right age, and I really loved it. And I stuck with it. I don't know. I just stuck with it.
Did you grow up in Toronto?
I grew up in Mississauga.
Okay. So I remember I never wanted to play basketball, but we had a very small pool of people in my school. We had a small school, and they're like, Bree, can you dribble? And I was like, yep. And they're like, you're on the team. Great.
That's funny. I was always a good rebounder because I'm tall, and I was always tall for my age. So I was like a center. Like, I was a good rebounder and stuff like that.
Nice. Okay. So you played a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Nick, do you have any questions?
Well, no, it's just just a
Concerns.
thought of like you're thinking about like do you dribble? Congratulations, you're a basketball player. It reminds me of like Cathryn saying that she Googled how do you become a comedy writer. And I can just imagine the first thing is you've done step one. You're here. You're in.
Yeah.
You're going.
Oh, man. I remember
That's so funny. I'm probably the only person that's ever done that and then
There's
followed
no
through.
way you're the only person.
But
to do
followed
that.
through for sure.
Just like Google, like, how do you do this? I don't know. Like,
I remember when so I went to Humber, and before I went to Humber, you have to perform a minute of stand-up, and I'd never done stand-up before. I had done improv.
What is a minute?
I knew what a minute was, but it was like, how do you write stand-up? So I bought this like Judy Carter like book that's like how to write stand-up comedy, and it's so bad, and it's so hack, and it's so like basically like this is how you do stand-up comedy. Isn't it weird that X? Like, so that was like, oh, that's
Don't you hate it when?
It's like, okay, I got that. Isn't it weird that anyway?
and then just no elaboration.
Oh no, I mean it was like then you can pick from this or that, whatever. It's like anyway, it's just it's a silly how-to book that was like in no way beneficial for like a modern style of stand-up comedy or, you know, voicing, I don't know, the kind of like stand-up storytelling that is pretty popular right now as well. Anyway, it was just kind of like, this is how you do it. And also sign up for more of my books, you know?
Yeah.
I could actually, it's probably back there right now. I should go.
You should do that.
Yeah, I am right now.
You could write a book and sell
This
it
is how you
probably.
say- yeah, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Isn't it strange how butter melts on toast? Wow, isn't that, if you think about it, it's like, yeah.
Bree, did you take a stand-up class?
Yeah, I did it at I did a couple. I took we had to do stand up at Humber, so I had Larry Horowitz for 2 years.
Oh, you went to Humber.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of those kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even. I was 26, so I was pretty
Yeah, you were a
young.
grown-up person that
Yeah.
did
Oh,
college.
wow.
I had
From
lived a
college.
life. Yeah. And then I took Don Whitwell's comedy girl class as well. Do you
Oh,
remember
wow. So
those?
you went to Humber and still needed Don's class.
It was
Get a
yeah.
refund. I love Don, but that's like, come on.
Let's just say it was a very male-dominated stand-up situation. So going to take this class with Dawn was very helpful for.
Oh, good.
I can't.
I took her second level class, but that's just like showing up with new material and working it out. It's not a how to do stand-up class.
Yeah. I have thoughts, but we don't need to get into them. We got through a lot. We talked to Cathryn about the awesome writing journey that you're on. I loved, you know what I think like a huge takeaway is this idea of like
Not deleting your podcast when it's
not
over.
deleting your podcast when it's over.
I think I went on a girl guide rant on your last one because I was
Okay.
in Girl Guides and Pathfinders. So we've missed that. We've lost that forever. It's fine.
I mean, we could talk
because
about
you said
Girl
you were in
Guides now.
cadets.
Yeah. I was in cadets. We shot guns. What did Girl Guides do?
We did
Not.
not
Nope.
shoot-
Sorry, that was Boy Scouts.
What did knots and
Yeah.
Boy Scouts, yeah.
Oh.
All
You don't
knots,
shoot guns?
all the time. Not in Boy Scouts.
Oh, wow.
You guys the gals sold cookies. What
Mhm.
was yeah, but you were a Pathfinder. That's like the highest up you can get, right?
No, cadets is.
Oh, you keep going. You keep going from there. I think my big takeaway is this idea if you don't have if you're not currently getting paid to write,
Stop it. I mean,
go for it. Quit right now. Go back into banking because that you'll always need that. No, I love to
continue allocating things to cost centers and keep the world going
That's
around.
right.
living the
That's right.
dream.
I'm never gonna get this out. Forget about it.
No,
Forget
please,
about
please,
it.
You gotta get this out. You gotta get this out. You gotta get this out.
I love the competition. Like, go submit to a competition that forces you to get there. Like, Nick, you do it with your writing. Cathryn, you said you did it with yours. For some reason, I've never entered a competition for writing. It's probably because I'm scared of judgment, or I don't have the patience to. Anyway, I'm sure there's many reasons, but I think it's such a great thing because then now you've got a deadline, right? I've given myself self-imposed deadlines, but there's no consequences.
Look, I still get rejected from contests,
Good.
even though I've had people hire me based on my writing. So don't worry about that. Sometimes you just catch people on an off day. They're tired. They're sleepy. They're reading who knows how many scripts.
I mean, I've applied.
But then I've also gotten some. So it's just
Yeah.
like you just gotta keep going.
It's the same with festivals. Like I've applied for
Yep.
festivals and
Yeah.
have not got in, and applied for festivals and have got in. So yeah, it's true. You just gotta keep doing it. Unlike what we just said about not doing it anymore. Please just keep doing it. We need more Cathryns out there. That's a weird way of saying that.
Oh, that's kind of sweet though.
That's what I mean. I've always enjoyed your comedy. I know when we were doing stand up, I always loved watching you do sets, and I look forward to
Same.
seeing your writing on Mark Critch's new show. That's gonna be cool. So yeah, I just wish you all the best going forward. I think this stuff is going to be so helpful for writers who are just starting out or who have been in it for a little while and just need that reassurance to,
Get out there, fail, set some goals, and start getting paid after that.
keep on struggling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I hopefully you and I get to be on a stage again sometime
God.
soon. That would be amazing.
Well, I actually should talk to you about that. I'm doing
Please.
I'm doing a thing in Niagara Falls. So if you are okay doing a little traveling, I would love to have
Yes,
you.
I'm very okay. I desperately need stage time. It's
Great.
been way too long.
I've got a spot for you within the next couple months on a pretty cool little project I'm working on, and it pays. So
Ooh,
yay!
ooh, exciting. It's all happening.
It's all coming together. Woohoo! All right, Cathryn, thank you so much for being here. Nick, what do you have to say to Cathryn?
Just struggle on.
Struggle
basically.
on. Yeah, struggle on. Nothing? You don't want to know? Okay, struggle on. Cathryn, you want to say it with us?
Struggle on.
Yeah! Woo, 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 woo.
So that was Cathryn Naiker.
I
Good.
know.
Yay.
Yay.
Good episode. I like getting into stand-up comedy to learn how to do comedy. That should be the way everyone learns how to be funny, Breeze.
By
You got to do a
Googling it?
type 5.
Oh yeah.
by Googling.
Also Googling how to do stand up. How do I do comedy? If you enjoyed this episode as much as we did, please share it around. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your friends about Cathryn Naiker. We're going to put up all of Cathryn's social media information so that you can follow her career and journey along as well. And a couple of the things that we discussed in the episode, we'll put them up in show notes as well. So if you want to check out Mark Critch's TV show or anything else that we talked about in the episode, there'll be some links on our website, so you can check that out too. What about social media, Nick? Where can people watch and follow us?
I mean, you could check out Struggle Pod on the Twitter machine.
Mhm.
I mean, theoretically, I might be on there responding.
That's a good place to start. Oh,
and
you
raising,
personally.
yeah, or you,
Sometimes.
one
Yeah.
of us.
We should-
One of
exactly.
us.
But you can listen to the episodes on YouTube if you prefer to read the transcript while you're listening. Because maybe,
cool.
I don't know. Who knows? You could read the transcript on YouTube. And then, yeah, if you have any struggles that you would like to discuss on the episode, feel free to send us a tweet or an email at constantstrugglepod@gmail.com. Rate, review, subscribe. That really helps the episode.
Smash that like button.
Smash it so hard. But yeah, we'd love some ratings and we'd love some stars and reviews and stuff. So if you had fun today and your only judgment is, well, they really ramble at the end of the episode when they're trying to figure out what it is they want us to do to respond, that might be it there. But anyway, Nick, hopefully next month when we talk, you'll have edited at least one page of work. How about that? Let's make that.
I mean, I've already done that, but yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next month. In the meantime,
Struggle on. Struggle the hell on.